Daniel,
Yes.
good to see you.
Good to see you.
Here we are. We're back on track, and this has been what
I
has it
feel
been?
like we just did one.
I know this is actually less than a week.
I don't even have anything to talk about. I told you on the way here I was like nervous.
Plenty to talk about.
Yeah.
Plenty to talk about. So this is season 2, episode 3 of Sent to the Office.
Why don't we just start season 3? We can do that if we
Don't
want.
be stupid about this.
Or we could just skip 3 and do season 4.
We could, but that would make no sense whatsoever. People would be lost. They would be going, "Shit, did I lose season 3?
That's
what happened
right.
to season 3?"
It would cause pandemonium.
It would cause pandemonium among our many fans, our dozens of fans. So,
Yep.
but yeah, all right. So, Adventures of Tremendous Fat Ass. Haven't
I'm
had many
so
adventures.
happy that we were told before we started that we actually don't have to talk into the
Yeah, we
microphone.
talked to the side.
Actually, we're supposed to talk into the side.
I know it's crazy.
It's way better for
At
me.
our last
I
pod-
did not
Yeah,
like...
you didn't like that?
Well, it was just...
Bad memories for you?
Jeez.
What?
What's wrong with you? No.
Our last podcast, we did have about 45 seconds or so of echo, and then it cleared up. So
yeah. I felt
so
like
I
you
think
were
we're getting better.
blaming me on your post. That's why, because your post said Dan Klein, echo goes away 45 seconds in.
Oh no, I was just tagging you.
Well, the way it looked to me was like Dan Klein's echo goes away 45 seconds in, and that's
you-
why I put on
yeah,
there.
you piece of shit. It was your echo.
I put on there. Your echo's as bad as mine, you deaf some bitch.
And then,
Oh.
my mom got upset.
Did she get mad at me?
She pointed out that when you call me a some bitch, you're calling her a bitch.
Oh, wow. I am.
And
really,
you don't wanna get in her
really sorry
crosshairs,
about
bro.
that. No,
You don't want to get her across there.
I'm
bro.
not scared of many people.
No,
I am scared of your mom.
I'm still scared of my mom.
yeah.
Her grandkids, my children, they don't know. They don't know.
No, they don't.
They don't know. My mom is a badass. So anyway,
Yes,
but,
and a wonderful woman.
yeah, and I
And I
assure.
just like to say she is amazing. And I have
you.
met her.
Thank you. Yes, and I
And,
pointed that out to her as well.
Okay.
So I talked about it with her. I pointed out that, during the podcast, we tell each other to go F ourselves and yourself. And we say things to each other, but it's all in jest. And I said that you were really calling me a sumbitch. And I said, and when you did call me a sumbitch, not in a mean way,
Yeah.
there was no intention in your brain to refer to her in any way. So,
You know what's weird is anytime I've been mad and called a guy a son of a bitch, I've
Yeah.
never been thinking about dissing his mom.
no.
It's like him.
Well,
you
that's
know?
that's what I
Never
pointed
thought
out
of it
when
like
it
that.
first started as an insult. That was a big part of it, but now it's evolved to the point where there's no
Right.
the moms are out of the equation.
Gotcha.
So anyway, so Dan, I noticed I couldn't help but notice you have a little shading around your eye. The makeup that you applied wasn't quite
Yeah.
effective enough to hide the fact that you look like you got your ass kicked.
No, I didn't.
Okay, tell me what
really
happened.
At all. I don't know.
What?
I really don't. I mean,
and
at some
you're not
point,
drinking anymore, so how could you not know how you
no,
hurt
I
your
got
eye?
it at the gym, obviously.
okay.
But I don't remember getting.
Did somebody come off the top
No,
rope at
sometimes like if a little knuckle slap right on the inside of your eye, when you're, I don't know.
you? They hit you.
It's
with their
not
knuckles?
like a.
That's a punch.
Not really.
Did somebody like suplex you, or did they like do an eye gouge?
Yeah.
I'm channeling my inner
You know,
Eric
this is
Hendrickson on that one.
Bringing back bad memories of how you and Eric Hendrickson would pick on me
Yeah.
during lunch, literally making fun of.
It was mainly Eric, and Eric was a master.
Oh, tell me about your dojo.
Put him in a body bag.
Yeah, so you guys could sit there and talk about football all lunch every day, but if I bring up one thing about my cool, awesome gym, I was belittled. That was, you know
Eric,
what?
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry about that.
Tell your
Not
mom.
really,
Tell
though.
your
It
mom
was
about that one.
Okay.
I want her to know the real you about
that I
that.
picked on you. Well, I never called your mom a name. I mean, so there's that. But yeah, Hendrickson's a
don't
master.
think
He
I
can
called your mom
He
a
can
name.
get. Hendrickson knows what he's doing when it comes to that. So there was very few things funnier during our lunchtime than when Eric would get on you about
Oh,
that.
you know what I found?
What's
I
that?
found the video of when you came up behind me and tried to get me with the fake
Oh
app.
yeah.
I'll send it to him right now.
Okay. Okay.
All right. So
Yeah, I remember that. All right. So anyway, so you don't know how that happened. I've got this week, speaking of gyms and workouts, for a couple of years, Marna has been going on Mondays and Thursday nights pretty regularly to a class at the campus that she refers to as baby weights.
Why? Why baby?
Well, that's a good question. And when
Like they're just small.
well, yeah, I think so. But when you hear the term baby weights, it kind of evokes some, kind of a feeling of it's not very serious. It's a kind of a maybe a class for beginners. It's not.
Yeah.
Well,
Baby jujitsu doesn't sound
yeah, it doesn't sound. Yeah, so I decided.
like you'd get a black eye.
No, if you do, you're doing something wrong.
Right.
You're doing something wrong. Well, I
You like breaking your leg on the bunny hill.
on the bunny hill.
Yeah. Has that happened, do you think? Like someone.
Probably.
Oh, whew. That's rough.
Well, I decided to take a look at the Altoona campus calendar for exercise classes, and I saw a class that sounded interesting. It was called Body Pump. Okay.
Body pump?
Body Pump, and it turns out that's baby weights. Marna just refers
I think
to.
body pump sounds better than baby weights.
Well,
but Marna
it
can
might-
work out.
Yeah. So I told Marna, I'm like, yeah, I think I'm going to try this body pump class, and she said, that's baby weights. I said, oh, okay. So I went to baby weights, Dan, and it's not for babies. It's really hard. It was really hard. It was high repetition. You use a barbell, you use dumbbells, and I tried to scale back how much weight. I mean, I wasn't in there trying to impress anybody with how much I can lift.
Right.
But, so I put, 40 pounds or 50 pounds on a bar. But when you're doing a bazillion repetitions,
Yeah, that's what gets you.
I was cramping. I started cramping in my bicep. My lower back was starting to get sore from all the deadlifts and things.
I found it.
You found the
Okay. Beck, what do I send it to? To send it to you.
So we're sending the video of when I snuck up on you and you nearly lost your
we
life by
friends on
threatening me
Facebook?
physically.
Beck Shooty, I'm sending it to you.
Okay, so while Dan's sending it, so anyway, I think I'm going to keep
Beck
trying
is
it.
one of the only students at Southeast Polk I am friends with who hasn't graduated yet.
On
my rule.
Facebook?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Beck's an
So-
old soul. He's only 15, but he's an old soul.
Yeah. He's not a Southeast Polk student to me.
Right.
He's like my boy.
He's fam. He's fam.
I
Yeah.
just thought of my triple B question too. I'm ready. Later.
wanna ask it?
No, not now.
Okay.
All right.
What did you?
I'm back with it.
When did you first meet Beck? Beck's 15.
I remember when you brought him over and I would babysit the kids. Well, you're not supposed to say babysit though. I'd watch your children during
Yeah.
the summers.
Okay.
remember?
Okay. Yeah.
But I have a vivid memory of standing there with you. Beck was a little boy, and I had been burning in this spot, and he had scooped up a bunch of ashes,
Oh.
and he threw it up in the air.
And
let
then
it
let it come down.
So he was pretty young.
Yeah,
I mean, I
he's a
think he
little
was
feller.
12 when that. No, I'm just kidding.
12. He was a little
No, he
feller.
was a little feller.
Okay. Okay.
Did you get it? Yeah. But
So,
anyway.
I'm gonna do baby weights again. Also, on the topic of working out.
So
the
you were
sh-
pretty
the
sore
sh-
though from baby weights.
My boobs are sore
Yeah.
mainly from all the push-ups and the bench
Yep.
pressing, and my hamstrings are sore, and my pride is a little sore
Yeah.
from going to baby weights, and I had to stop 3 or 4 times because I was gassed.
Honestly, if I went to it, I'd be sore too because anytime you use muscles you're not used to using in
Right. Right.
over and over.
Right.
fa-
And
you
the
know.
repetition's the key. So I was, there's some cardio to it, and I'm still not, my lung capacity's still not very good because I still got a bunch of that fluid in my chest. So there are times when I had to, bend down, grab the shorts, and get some air. So
And
but
they
it-
did not find a note, right?
Not-
Have they had to go get any more of that fluid out of your chest?
no,
Okay.
no, yeah, thanks.
I thought they got it all.
No, they only got half. They could only get half because he
What if you got upside down and went,
just horked it out? Just horked it out. Sick it up. Sick it up, Shooty.
seriously, try it?
Well, yeah, no, they got. It's not in my lungs; it's in my chest cavity, so I can't really.
Okay.
Yeah, but anyway, so and then speaking of working out, the Shooty dungeon
yeah.
opened up in the garage, and the boys have
Does
been in there a
that
few times.
bring back some memories for you?
Well, I never a little bit, yeah, because when I had my first weight room, it was in the basement, and that was definitely a dungeon, an unfinished basement that had when it rained, it would flood, and snakes would be swimming around in the basement.
Yeah.
That was the dungeon that I lifted weights in. But yeah, the boys are hilarious. They're in there. They're picking their music and they're drinking
Love
their
it.
coffee, and
Love it.
yeah, it's good. So I like when they come over. I think
You
it's
need
cool.
to tighten your microphone. It's like
Does
flopping.
it bother you? Well, at
Well,
my
it's-
age, things are going to flop a little bit, Dan.
I think it might cause a problem.
Well,
I don't
I
know.
don't know. I
It's
don't-
this one right here. No, right here. Yeah.
Ah, there we go. Okay.
Okay.
Is that better?
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, yeah, the only other thing going on today's Saturday, right? Yeah, Jory just went home. She came back, went home to Cedar Falls, but she came home to Pleasant Hill to have a job interview. So we're all excited about that.
That's awesome.
She's worked at Hy-Vee since she was 16, and she's 26. And the interview was with Hy-Vee in West Des Moines, and she was one of 3 interviewees.
Really?
And she was the first interview, and that's usually a good sign. In my opinion, when I've done interviews, when I did them, we usually tried to get the
Oh, that's the one you want to interview. Then you interview a couple more because you know you have to.
or
I knew it.
And then every once in a while you get surprised. Maybe the third interview is the best one, but. So we're excited. We want her to come home and be around the family. But kind of made me think about first it's amazing that she's 26 and she's only had one job.
That's crazy.
And I was also thinking about that because Beck is 15 and he's still looking for a job, and they don't hire 15-year-olds anywhere except for McDonald's and Fairway, and Fairway hasn't called him even though he's applied and met with a manager there. So
What's up, Fairway?
if you work for Fairway, if you're in management, we've got a very good potential
Yeah.
employee just sitting right here.
Yep.
So what do you think? He did meet with a manager there at Fairway. What do you think the problem was?
I can't think of anything.
You can't. You can't think of what
No.
might.
No.
The hair? Could be the hair, Dan. But anyway, I like the hair. I'm not telling him to cut it, but
Yeah, it's the hair.
yeah,
I didn't want to say it
yeah. So
again.
I kind of, while I was thinking about that, the fact that, Beck is looking for a job and Jory's, applying for a job, I kind of real quick, I took about 10 minutes and I put together a list of all the jobs that I could remember that I've had.
That was quite a list.
It is quite a list. There's a lot of things on here, and I even included as my first job, I used to shovel driveways and rake yards, and we would go, my older brother.
I don't know if that counts.
Yeah, I put it down anyway. But I started doing that when I was about 7 or 8 because my brother was 2 years older. And the deal was he would knock on the door and ask them if they want their driveway shoveled. And I was more the labor. He was the management. And I was the labor. It was a good deal for him because I was too shy to ask anybody anything. And
I was just about to say, I think that's usually a good thing for a kid at a young age, if it's mowing someone's lawn that they don't know, like just being a part of working, getting paid for it is a
Right.
good experience. But
is.
if you're being extorted,
right. And that was no good. And we actually, and we did mow lawns too. In fact, when we lived in Nebraska, we had a regular customer list. So on Mondays, we would go mow Mrs. Anderson's yard. And on Tuesdays, we would go and we would push the little lawnmower. Actually, we would tie it to our bikes and drag it to the yard. And we had quite a little enterprise going. And we, of course, wasted all of our money. But so that was kind of my first job that I consider a job. But my first real job was when I was about 10. And there was a golf course in Alliance, Nebraska. And I just remember going there and I just kind of hang out. They had a gym there. And I just remember one time this older guy just said, hey, You want to make some money? And I'm like, yeah. And, and I was a big kid for 10. And he said, well, why don't you come over here? So I cleaned golf clubs and I would just for tips. I didn't get any hourly wage, but so I'd go in there Saturdays and Sundays and I'd be in the locker room and the golfers would come in and they'd hand me their golf clubs and I would clean them and they'd give me a couple $3 and I'd come home and I'd have $20.
So who was the guy that asked you if you wanted to come and make money?
Yeah,
The
I don't
owner?
know. I have no idea. What's that?
Did he sit
Did he touch me,
across
Dan?
from
Did he
you,
touch me? No, he didn't touch me,
drinking
Dan.
a lot of shakes, just watching you clean the golf clubs?
Slower. Can you do that? Do
Oh,
that one again. Do the
geez.
driver again. Clean that
Jeez,
driver again.
See,
Yeah, I
took it
don't
too
know.
far.
That's wrong that you went there. That you should
I
have done that.
didn't.
You
You
did. You
no, I
did.
thought you did.
Oh no, I didn't do it. But anyway, so I was a paper boy, and I was actually a paper boy
Yeah.
during the time when Johnny Gosh and Eugene Martin
We talked
disappeared.
about that. Yep.
So my first job where I actually got a paycheck was at the Iowa State Fair, which I think I talked about, where I gave my brother's ID because I was too young to work. And that's at that main building. As you walk down the main concourse, that giant restaurant. Back when I was there, Jim Zabel was on a recorded loop, and he would talk over and over and over. But so that was really my first.
That's when they kept calling you your brother's name.
Yeah, and I told
you
them that I
kept
was
not-
deaf.
Yeah.
And then they would come up to me and say, "John, can you go?" Oh, yeah, okay. And little did I know that
Yeah.
how things. Maybe that was karma
Nah.
for lying. I
I don't believe
lied,
in karma.
but I got paid, about $143 at the end of I worked 8 days at $1.50 an hour, and so it was a great
Yeah.
deal, Dan.
That was like detasseling.
Did you detassel?
Yeah, that was my first job.
Really? How
And it
old were
was
you when you did that?
torturous.
What'd you do? How old were you?
I don't know. My dad drove me there. I was, I don't know, 4th, 5th grade. I can't remember.
Did you hate it?
It wasn't fun, but we made it fun. I mean,
Okay.
had my first real deal fight.
Or a fight while you're
Yeah.
detasseling?
Well, in the truck on the way
I thought you were
back.
going to say you had your first experience because I always heard stories about detasseling and some of the things that would happen in the cornfields with.
Says the guy who's cleaning golf clubs for a strange man. All right.
Good point.
No,
Good point.
no, it was.
I don't think anything happened to me while I was there, but it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
It was 40 years ago.
But yeah, you'd work like forever and then get a check for, $78.
Yeah, right. Nothing, next to nothing. It was a good deal for those people.
Yeah, right.
So, but how much work did you really do at that age? You think you worked did a lot of?
I mean, my
Produced?
fingers were blistered. Part of it, you'd be on a tractor and you got to keep up,
Would they crack a whip at you? If you didn't?
Well,
Make fun of you, bully
we
you?
started counting how many we could let through, and a guy came up behind us and
Yeah.
he had a bunch of them. And he was pissed.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that wasn't a good idea.
Little Danny Klein. All right. The first job I had in high school was Hy-Vee, which I think is interesting because, Jory's worked at Hy-Vee, Kay's worked at Hy-Vee. Did you ever work at Hy-Vee?
Nope,
No Hy-Vee.
never worked
okay.
at Hy-Vee.
I worked there for about a year. And I mainly did cans, Dan. They didn't let me around people. They made me go back and sort cans every time. I don't know why they did that, but
Well, what'd your hair look like?
I had a sweet mullet at that point. That was like my sophomore year.
Well, see, there you
But
go.
everybody did. Or I did like mine was I
Never
would-
did go through the message.
Okay, so from there I went to McDonald's.
I got
Yeah.
fired from McDonald's.
Okay. Well, and back when we were in school, in the 80s, there was not many jobs for kids. So McDonald's was a great job. It was an in-demand job. Now kids don't want to work at McDonald's, but what'd you get fired for out of curiosity?
I threw a guy's change at him. I just got
Oh, a
pissed.
customer.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, we're back. Dan over there is sitting in shame because he's such a squirmy mofo that he can't sit still. When he stood up, he unplugged the microphone. So I'm not really sure. We'll just jump right back into the
Yeah,
conversation.
sorry about that. Sorry about
That's
that.
all right. You're going to sit your ass there and you're not going to move. All right?
I'm not.
Now I know what Dan's teachers felt like when he was a kid. Maybe I do. I don't know. So, but I was just gonna say that when I was in college, after my freshman year, I got a job at Stella's Blue Sky Diner. Now I don't know if you remember Stella's. It was a 50s style diner.
I
Okay.
don't.
Okay. Well, they had all the furniture was from the night, legitimately antique 1950s stuff. They had 1950s music playing. They served dishes that they serve, like meatloaf and mashed potatoes and all those things. And I was a soda jerk back then. And I was actually trained by my older brother, who was also a soda jerk. So I come from a long line of jerks.
What's that
Dan.
mean?
I was
Like
a
you were the
guy.
bartender soda guy?
Yeah. I was in
Okay.
the and they didn't like back then. You just didn't go order a Coke. You went to the soda fountain and they would mix you a phosphate, or they'd make you a malt. So I was back there and I usually had a partner, and we were making 300 chocolate shakes.
What's a phosphate?
It's like a fizzy carbonated liquid that you mix flavors in.
Okay.
And you make, so I can make a root beer with phosphate and root beer flavoring. And so, and it was kind of a fun, I got tips, which was good. And it was a fun job because, and I can't believe I did this looking back on it, but, they would play the theme to the Blues Brothers. People had jukeboxes on their table, one of those tiny little, and as soon as that song came on, the tall, skinny guy that I worked with, we would do our act where we would do the Blues Brothers dance. And of course, I was John Belushi because I was fat, and this guy was skinny, so he was Dan Aykroyd, and people would stop and watch us do the "Coming to You," and all that shit. And
That goes in the amazing adventures of a tremendous badass.
yeah, and given my shyness and anxiety level, that was a tough one for me to do at first, but I began embracing it. So it was a pretty good job, and it kind of evolved because the owner, Rich Murillo, who passed away a few years ago, but I loved Rich. He owned Nacho Mama's, which was a restaurant downtown. He also owned Alfredo's and the Daily Gourmet, which were in the a little area downtown. I can't remember the name. So during college, on a weekend, if I knew I didn't have much going on, I would call Rich on a Thursday. Rich, hey, you need any help? And he'd be like, yeah, Joel, come on in. We'll put you to work. So I'd drive home on a Friday, and he would have me be a bar back at Nacho Mama's, or have me do this or that, and he'd give me cash at the end of the night. And I mean, and sometimes he didn't even need help. He was helping me
Yeah.
because he was such a good guy. So, but yeah, so I worked, for him quite a few summers. And actually that summer, there was a summer where I worked at Alfredo's. I worked with my cousin Eric Cepeda and my friend Troy McConnell.
Oh boy.
Yeah, we used to, you break the boredom of the day by pranking each other.
Mm-hmm.
And the place had an L shape. Okay, so here's the Daily Gourmet, here's Alfredo's, and it was connected through the back kitchen. And so a lot of times, one of us would work the Daily Gourmet, and the other two would work at the Alfredo's part. And Alfredo's made spaghetti and pasta and all that. And so I just remember a few times, one time in particular, my cousin Eric was standing just casually, I thought, and said, "Hey, Shooty, come here for a second. I want to show you something." And I'm like a dipshit. I walked over there, and he was just casually holding these industrial-sized fettuccine noodles, Dan, are 2 feet long, okay? And he was holding the end of one in a boiling pot of water. And when I got there, he whipped it out and lassoed my neck with this hot.
Jeez.
It went perfectly around my neck. And, and I'm clawing at it, trying to get it off because it's burning my neck. And for about a week or two, I had a nice red line all the way around my neck.
Man.
Yeah. So we used to prank each other all the time. Or, there was a kind of like one of those half doors, where the counter lifts up and you walk in.
Yeah.
Well, we used to pile shit up on that area, so it was kind of a pain in the ass to lift the door. So Troy would grab the end of it and kind of scoot under it and pop up, and that's the way he got through. So
Were you able to do that?
No, I would just get on my hands and knees and crawl under it because I'm a tremendous fat ass, Dan, if that's what you're getting at. So Troy, he was a work shitter. So he, you know,
What?
a work shitter. He was the kind of guy that would go to.
What's that mean?
He would take a shit at work every day and get paid to take a shit. You know, that was Troy. So every mid morning after we're prepping for the day, Troy would walk over to the food court bathroom to take his
You
morning.
say it as if he chose to do it that way.
He did, I think. You know,
Well,
he'd grab the sports
when
section.
you gotta go, you gotta go.
He'd grab the sport, but it was every morning. So he'd grab the sports section and he'd head in there. We knew we had about 10 minutes. So we took this industrial pan, it's like Pam, the stuff that makes your food not stick.
Yeah.
And we sprayed the entire floor down with that shit. And we sprayed it for like 6 feet beyond where the half door opened. And he got back, you know, and he would like really do it quick. He would
Yeah.
like grab that and pop through there real
Oh, yeah.
fast.
It's a momentum
he
move.
grabbed it, and as soon as his feet hit that shit, he was down and he slid all the way down to the wall and hit his ass on the wall. And Eric and I were just dying. I mean, we used to just do like, you know, hey, Shooty, there's a phone call. There was one phone. I'd go over and the phone would be sitting on the thing, and I'd go, yeah, hello, and I'd look, and there'd be butter caked on the receiver, and I'd have it in my ear. So we used to just
He's lucky he didn't poop himself. You
Yeah.
know?
Well,
he was
after
heading
that,
that way. He might have been getting a missile ready in the silo. It
He-
could have been ready for launch.
He took some caution after that, but we used to, you know, we'd be ringing up a customer and we'd feel an ice cube hit us in the back of the head. I mean, we just did some terrible stuff to each other, and it was amazing we didn't get fired, but it was fun.
Yeah.
You know, so anyway, so in college, did you have a work study job, or what? How did that work for you?
Yeah, I did. It was
Okay.
in the copy center. I thought we talked about that.
You did.
one.
Okay, that was what you did all 4 years, though.
No.
Okay, that's what I was getting at.
No. I don't even remember. I had a waiter job. I know that.
Okay.
I was a lifeguard at Pickle Farm Beach,
Oh yeah.
which is a little man-made lake off of Vandalia. It's not really open to the public anymore.
Where we went to fish once.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember.
That was a cool job because I had the keys to the gate.
That was a
And-
mistake. Whoever gave you those keys.
Well, I was like, I'd been there. Like I had this job for a while because I
Right.
wanted to keep it.
Right.
But the owner's son would practice. He was a ski jumper. They had a ski jump out in the middle of the lake, and it was cool because we'd swim out there, and it was solar powered, so it charged up the battery. But you turn the switch on, and water would go down it, and we'd climb up there and
Oh,
slide
cool.
down it. It was
That
pretty
would be
cool.
cool. Okay. Okay. Did you ever get fired from a job, Dan?
Yeah, I got fired from McDonald's. That was on
Besides
there.
McDonald's?
I was gonna be, and then I just quit before.
That was
I
the
got
only one.
fired. Yeah.
Really? Okay. I got fired from one job too as a bartender in college, which really pissed me off. And I'm not going to say his name. Well, I'm going to say his first name because F him. He doesn't listen to this probably, but his name was Ross. And I loved this job. It was an easy bartending job. It was a beer and shot bar. Nobody's asking you to mix a daiquiri. It was super easy. All these guys that getting off work at the roll screen plant would come over and they'd drink their beer, and I could do homework, and they didn't tip well, but it was a good job and got to eat. Well, this jackass Ross came in, and he was also a junior. I was a junior. And I knew his name was Ross, but I didn't know his last name. And I asked him for ID, and he showed me his ID, and it said he was 21. Well, so I served him, and then all of a sudden a cop comes in and starts checking IDs. And this Ross guy, I didn't show him an ID. And I said, that's a bunch of bullshit, Ross. You sure did. I don't know who you are, except for I know you're in my class. No, I didn't show him an ID. He just served me. So I got fired from this great job. And this will surprise you, Dan, but for the next several months, I fantasized how I was going to go to Ross's house on campus and kick the shit out of him for getting me fired.
So he never fessed up.
No.
Man,
And, like I said, I didn't even know him. I knew
it's a
of
dick
him.
move, Ross.
Yeah, it was
Someone
a-
tag Ross on
It was
this.
a dick move. And I'm sure people, yeah, exactly. because that was a blow to not only because I liked the job, but that was an ego thing, man. I mean, I didn't do anything wrong. I got a ticket for serving a minor, and it
Yeah.
wasn't my fault.
That's the worst when you get in trouble for something you actually didn't do.
Yeah, I know that would suck so bad. So yeah, I did. That was a college job. I had several other college jobs. I worked concert security, which I think I've talked about a little bit, which probably part of the reason why I have hearing problems, in addition to the problem that I was born with.
Oh yeah.
Met a lot of stars, Dan. A lot of singers.
Stars.
Garth Brooks, is he a star? Met him.
Yeah,
I think I've
that's
talked
pretty
about
cool.
that. Yeah. I worked a show for Metallica. And I didn't hang out with Metallica, but they are around us.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if this will surprise you, but Lars Ulrich is a dick. The drummer for he's notorious for being a dick, and he really is a dick. He would mess with the security guys and oh, you're a tough guy, and act like he's gonna hit him and just do stupid shit. He was a spaz, but the rest of the guys were cool. Do you know the worst show? I did the Iowa State Fair for several summers in addition to shows during the school year because the guy that ran security for the State Fair, he would do other shows and he'd call me. You know the worst night at the State Fair was, and they don't do this anymore, but the worst night for a security guy was the 50s rock and roll reunion shows.
Oh yeah, I'll bet.
It's not the metal shows.
That
Metallica-
was the East Side Friday night of
Yes.
this era.
Yes, it was.
And even that's different
Yeah.
than it was a decade ago.
You
You
get
know?
these old guys, the Metallica shows and some of the rock. I never had that many problems there. It was the 50s night when
Yeah.
these 50-year-old dudes would come and they haven't been out of their house for weeks and they'd load up on beer and then they want to fight everybody.
Yep.
And
I
they
went to a couple of those with my dad.
really.
Yeah, he really liked going to them, and I knew that music because that's all
Yeah,
he
oh, yeah.
ever played ever.
Oh yeah, the music's cool.
So
Yeah, but these guys, they would always, and they would never, you couldn't de-escalate them. Usually with guys, they're trying to fight, a big security guy will come up or two and go, guys, hey, you can sit here and enjoy the show or you can enjoy it in jail. It's up to you.
Right.
And these old guys, these old middle-aged guys, that was a challenge. They wanted to take on some 25-year-old jacked up dude, and they
Right.
would, they're just dipshits. But anyway, so yeah, constant security was pretty fun job, and I did that until I graduated from college, off and on. Actually, after I graduated. So, but what was your first job after college graduation? Was it Dell?
No,
it wasn't
no,
Dell.
I was teaching in Texas.
Oh, you taught. That's right.
Yeah.
Before, okay,
Yeah.
yeah, elementary school.
Yep. And well, sixth grade. It was in their sixth grade was in their junior high there,
Okay,
and
and
for
football
wha-
coach, right?
Yep, I was football coach.
That's the shocking part.
I was a waiter at Macaroni Grill.
I'm picturing Brad Pitt's character in Fight Club.
I worked for a guy at one point that would get his deal was he would get the list of houses that were going to be foreclosed on, and I worked with him trying to find people who, if their house is going to be foreclosed on, sell it to him instead.
Oh,
And it was probably the most dangerous job I've ever had. I mean, I was in Houston,
like physical danger?
Houston, Texas.
Oh,
Danny Klein doesn't know anything, and I am going up to, you can imagine.
and this is before you were like a black belt in jiu-jitsu
You're
or
right.
whatever.
Like, I'm just like, hi, I'm Danny Klein. It, yeah, it was,
Scary job.
yeah,
Not the best
it
neighborhoods.
wasn't a good idea.
We did a lot of things. That kind of reminds me. My first job out of college was at Orchard Place, a residential treatment facility, and then I went back. I quit that after a year. Went back to school to get my teaching degree, and then I worked at PACE, which is like a school program for adjudicated youth. And I worked actually in a program that was designed for kids who had been expelled from Des Moines Public Schools for violation of the weapons policy. So they brought a gun to school, or they had assaulted a teacher or something like that. And it's just so shocking to me now when I think about it. But, it was a daily routine where I'd drive around in a van and I would go to these houses and I would beat on doors to get these kids to go to school.
Wow.
I'd go into their houses and, some of the shit that you would see is just, you can only imagine what you'd say, like some of them look like flop houses.
Yep.
People passed out, drugs everywhere, and to be fair, but I was usually dealing with a mom, and she'd be like, "I can't get his ass out of bed," and yeah, okay, so I'd go up the stairs, and I'd
Have you tried tasing him?
right. Well, I just remember, sometimes I'd have to wake him up, and okay, go and brush your teeth, get dressed. I'll wait 5 minutes, and then you're going to school, and it kind of, and then what kind of made me think about that is a few years later, a good friend of mine that I used to work with got killed doing the exact same thing. He went into the home of a kid that he had worked with, went upstairs, and the kid shot him and killed him.
Yeah, I can see it. Either
Yeah.
that or a family member.
Yeah,
I mean,
and it's just
for
like
sure.
it's kind of crazy. But when you're young, you don't.
That's a good segue into my idea, but I bet I can beat you at the quickest you've ever quit a job.
Okay, lay it on me.
Probably about 10 or 15 minutes.
That beats me because I went to lunch one day and I never came back.
Yeah, I went to the bathroom
That
and
was it.
I'm out.
What job was it?
And I left my buddy Nate sitting there.
Oh, did he even know?
He didn't know.
You didn't tell him you were
We
going to come
both
back?
showed up for like an interview because
Okay.
we've been working at the Des Moines Register in telemarketing. Like the phone would just beep and you go, "Hi, this is the Des Moines Register," trying to sell them the paper. So they wouldn't let us. We decided we weren't going to work on Wednesday nights because that's a night you could skydive.
Church night.
No, we wanted to skydive.
Oh, skydive night. Right. Okay.
But so we quit that, and then we were just like, okay, we'll try this one. Looked in the newspaper. We showed up for an interview, and he's like, "Oh, you're hired." We go back, and it's this room, not much bigger.
Dan, can I get a 30? It's usually a bad sign when as soon as you show up, they hire you.
I know.
That's usually a sign that it's not a great job. But anyway,
Well, it wasn't cleaning golf clubs. But I will tell
Golf
you,
clubs.
picture a room this size. Just
I love the insinuation that there was something
what?
untoward going
I
on
didn't
in my
say
golf
that. You
club
said
cleaning job. I love that. But anyway, now I'm going to think about it all night. Did something happen?
Picture hardly being able to see each other because there's so much cigarette smoke in here. And there's a telephone book and a phone, and you're supposed to just call numbers
Oh, yeah.
to try. I don't remember what it was. Some raffle or
Okay.
probably a scam, I'm
That's
sure.
probably a scam.
But
And I'm sure you had some great responses from people.
yeah.
Go fuck yourself. Don't call
Well,
me anymore.
when we were at the Des Moines Register, if someone, if the phone didn't answer, you were supposed to send it back to the. And so if I got someone going, "Don't you ever call
send
me
it
in,"
again so that-
I'd send, because you'd hear someone go, "Who keeps sending people in here?" If I got someone
no.
that was being a, okay,
15
sorry,
minutes, you-
sorry about that. There you
15
go.
minutes you lasted at a job and you stuck your buddy Nate. How long did he stay?
I don't know. He didn't stay the whole time. We would both meet there because we had different day jobs. This was
Right.
in the summer,
Sure.
in between, and I just remember the next day he's like, "Dude, you left me sitting there. You should have told me you were quitting. I would have left when you left." I was like, man, I just couldn't take it anymore. I was like, I'm out.
15 minutes, that's all you could do?
I don't think it was even that.
Oh, my God. All right. One of the more interesting jobs that I had, I was a football coach at Lincoln High School for a couple, 3 years when I was student teaching. And then after, I worked at Link Associates. Now, I think did I tell you that was when my dog saved my life.
Tonk?
Yeah, Tonk. He saved my life. Did I talk about this at all? Okay,
No,
stop me if I did, because
mean,
at
you've
Link
told me.
Associates,
Not on the podcast, though.
okay, Link Associates was my job. 3 nights a week or 4 nights a week, I would go to the West Des Moines home of 3 adult male mentally disabled people, and it was a really nice home in West Des Moines. I had my own room, and my job basically was to show up at like a 9 or 10, give them their medication if they needed medication, make sure they had their lunches packed. They'd go to bed, and then I would go to bed in my own room. And then I would get up at 6. I'd make sure they're up, give them meds, make sure they had breakfast, and then they'd get on a bus and they'd go to their job at Link Associates. And it was an awesome job. I was student teaching at the time. So I got to sleep on the job. And I got paid to do it, although it was minimum wage. But it was a great job because I needed the money, and I started bringing my dog Tonk, and some people listening would remember Tonk. He was a great dog, and I wasn't supposed to, but I did. And the guys loved him, man. They loved
Yeah.
him. I mean, they were good guys, and do my laundry there, which I wasn't supposed to do, but I did. And so anyway, I had my own room, and one time in the middle of the night, I heard old Tonk growling like I'd never heard him growl before. Okay, and so I wake up, and my door is open, and the hallway light is on, so I see the silhouette of one of the guys that lives there, and he's got a big goddamn knife in his hand, Dan, and he had Down syndrome, and so he was not very verbal, and his name, I don't know if I can say. Yeah, his name was John. Anyway, he's probably passed
That's
away.
like Sling Blade. When you saw Sling Blade, the Doyle moment when
Yes,
you walked,
it
did you
brought did one of these. Well, his name was John, and I just remember saying, "John, what are you doing?" And he didn't answer, and he just stood there with the knife. I said, "John, what are you doing?" "I don't know." That's what he said. He didn't know, and I'm like, "John, why are you standing in my room?" "I don't know." I said, "Okay, John, I want you to drop the knife and go back to your room." And right then, my dog is still next to me, and he is growling. I've never heard him that pissed. Okay, hair standing all up.
That's crazy.
I know, and he just stood. So he just kind of, and I heard him sigh, and his whole body like sagged, and he just dropped the knife right there, and he turned and walked back to his room. And I got to tell you, Dan, I didn't sleep the rest of the night. I just
Oh, dude.
I got right up there, and
I would have went in there to been like Full Metal Jacket. Just a bad dream, fat boy.
whack, whack, whack. Get the other guys in on it.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't have had that job. Oh,
So the
how
next
did
night,
I would. Oof.
the next night he was gone. They sent him somewhere, so kind of felt bad about that. But yeah, that was a great job. I actually did that for a year and a half, and you kind of develop relationships with those guys. One of the guys that worked there was named Jeff, and he was a little like Rain Man. He needed a lot of verbal reassurance, so he'd ask the same questions over and over and over. So my last day, he was like, "Oh, Joel, so you're quitting, huh?" "Yeah, Jeff, I'm sorry, buddy, I'm quitting." So yeah, he asked me that over and over and over. "Joel, you quitting, huh?" "Yeah, Jeff, sorry, buddy. Yeah, I am." And then finally, after asking me that about 6, 7 times, he said, "So is Tonk quitting too?"
Oh,
And that just broke my freaking heart. I said, "Yeah, buddy, I'm really sorry." So then he got down on the ground and loving on Tonk. And,
man.
but it was a great job, and I really liked working there. But, it was one of about 100 jobs that I had, and, at the time it served its purpose. So,
Man, that adds to my idea. Okay, so here's my idea.
Okay.
But how much time? What are we at? Back. I feel like we've talked a long time. Yeah,
Is the sound
that's
still
a-
on? Okay. All right.
Yeah, let's I guess do it next time or put out a little teaser. My idea was based on that Hidden Brain
Yeah.
episode Knife's
Yeah,
Edge.
which I listened to today, which I thought was
Yeah,
great.
do you want to the part about when they met, the connections that they were making?
Yeah, it was. I think we definitely need to talk about this at the next podcast. But yeah, this program that was started to try to work with these violent young men to make sure that, or to try to give them a place where they could kind of emote and
Yeah.
and connect with other adult males, which is a big issue in our schools, and particularly with students who are from challenging backgrounds that are often in the alternative settings. But this was Chicago, wasn't it? This was like a
Right.
Um,
Well,
but,
I think that's a problem even with more affluent families now because of this right here.
yeah, right,
That's part of it.
right. The lack of connection.
And I just see a lot of consistent sleep deprivation with students.
Like with my student over there.
And what appears to me,
Maybe that's your triple B question.
my triple B question is one of your favorite memories that includes me because I have a lot from when we used to go camping and stuff.
Okay, so be thinking of that, and we'll get you on here in just a second.
Um,
But yeah, so yeah, no, I agree, and it's worse than it's worse than it's ever been because of this, because of the electronic opportunities. Kids are sleep deprived; they're not connecting with other people, and
and they're fairly malnourished, I think, a lot.
Fairly
of them.
malnourished.
And not because of what they choose to eat,
Right.
even at home.
Right,
You
right.
know, they may have good food at home, and they just
or sometimes they don't, or
but the
sometimes they don't have
food-
good options.
right.
So,
And just
right.
probably, I think we all live in a constant state of some level of dehydration.
Yeah,
You know, so
well, I'm trying to battle that the best I can.
my idea was like a couple times a week having instead, like some people would meet to have coffee before work, you
Yeah.
know, but we would do like protein shakes.
Protein shakes in the
with
morning.
a couple of the boys, you know, or whoever but I have students who get there early,
Right.
and they, you know, because we don't start until about an hour after
The
traditional does,
school.
but
Yep.
they come there. Maybe it's because they have siblings; they got to be there. But they pretty much will just sit and hear. There's not
Right.
much.
Right.
So I was thinking we could do like a morning protein shake, you
Right.
know, something healthy, model it, and just kind of have check in, talk about, you know, part of it would be the phones.
Yeah.
You know, just we put them over there and we
Right.
just chat and.
Give them a venue to open up a
And
little
what
bit.
time? What time did you go to bed last night?
Yeah.
How'd you sleep? You know,
Right.
and just to kind of bring that up
Right.
a little bit. But
Right. No, I think that's an important idea, and the podcast had some really interesting data about the effectiveness of this
Yeah.
program. It was basically a one guy with a group of about 15 high school boys from a really rough section of Chicago, and showed a 44% reduction in arrests and criminal activity with these boys in this program. And a lot of it is, you know, so many of these boys, they need contact with an adult male, a positive adult male.
and the ones like they're so thirsty for it. That's why it's so successful.
Right.
You know, if you
Right.
start meeting with someone consistently,
Yeah.
a young,
Right.
you know, it doesn't matter how at risk they
Right.
are.
Right.
You're
And
gonna
if you're
start getting
modeling,
close.
see that's the most important thing in my opinion, is especially for these boys who we've socialized not to talk about their feelings, not to talk about what's really going on with them. The only appropriate emotion for a teenage boy is anger. And as the adult in the room, if you're modeling how to show your emotions appropriately, and that it's okay to do that. And I've got tons of experience with, group counseling and individual counseling. They're dying to do it. They're craving this opportunity
Exactly.
because they know they have all these things inside, and no teenage boy wants to look like a pussy.
Right.
They don't want to look like they're gay by, showing,
Once they know it's safe, and that
Right,
takes a
right.
while.
It
And
does.
Sometimes it does. They never do. But if you take someone who's that thirsty for it, and once they know it's safe,
yeah.
they
And
a
that's
lot of
why at the
times they'll-
harbor, I think it's, especially now the Big E's kind of on board with talking about,
Yeah.
some of the issues he's had. You've always been open with that. I would get up and talk in front of kids about my struggles as a kid. And that kind of like gives them permission that it's
Yeah.
okay to do all those things. So the adult in the room in those situations is critical for those boys.
So we'll talk more about it.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
I think something that kind of mirrors that is something that we could do, and
Sure.
I think there's a lot of people in the community that could do it.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
I mean,
Absolutely.
be pretty neat. if
Okay,
we
should
got
we end
going.
with let's get Beck over
yeah.
here to answer his triple B question. Come on, Beck.
What do you got?
So the question was his favorite
I don't
memory.
know, one of his favorite
Here,
memories,
let him
but
sit down and use your here. No, Beck, you get over here. And-
we'll change the answer or the question. Just
I haven't thought about camping in like forever, so I don't know. I can't think of anything.
okay.
Speak up, boy.
Just, what do you think? Like,
Um,
help me remember.
Mississippi, you falling off of the deck and into the water.
There's a story that I'm struggling to remember that you always told about Beck while we were camping, and I can't remember it right now. But you used to tell that over and over and over, and it was so funny. But now it's not helping me right now because I can't remember. But I was hoping you would remember. But Beck, what's your memory of Dan? Because you've known Dan since you're like 3 or 4 years old.
You can say it back.
Can you just
I was
be
kind of an asshole.
any memory? Like, does it have
Yeah.
to be? All right. Well, the only one I could really think of was when I was this was like a while ago. Like, I don't even know how old I was when he used to watch me over the summer.
Hmm.
We went fishing, I think. Yeah. And I was just being really annoying. And yeah, you were getting really annoyed, and you totally could have like freaked out at me, but you didn't. But I could tell you wanted to. But you got me McDonald's. That was pretty sick.
Made it all
There you
better
go.
with McDonald's.
There you go.
Yeah, that's all
Nah,
I could really.
that was a learning process for me. I learned that if you take a kid fishing, you've got to stop when they're ready to stop, and that might be in 15 minutes. You know what I mean? If you make them stay, it just wrecks it. But I remember cleaning a fish with you one time when we were. All right. Well.
Cleaning a deer once too, which
Yeah.
I think was something that he'll never forget.
Oh yeah. That was
That was not something he had a lot of experience with.
no. He wasn't happy.
So, all right, buddy. Thanks, man.
Thank you, brother.
We're gonna end it here shortly. So, all right. Well, I'm going to remember the story about you and Beck that you used to tell about Beck. You told people at the harbor. You've told students. It was a funny situation, but I'll try to remember. But my memory sucks.
Well, I think you're confusing. There's one I tell about Cade when you asked him for the remote and he said no, and you were like, "You give me the remote now." And he walked over to you and handed the remote out, but he dropped it. And right as you bent over from your chair to pick it up,
farted on me.
and I
Oh!
thought that was
That was
black
pretty
belt
funny.
level
That was
ninja
pretty
move.
funny. All right. Well, there's something else that was Beck related that you've told multiple times, and we'll remember it. But anyway, so pretty good. It was kind of fun to go down memory lane with this jobs thing. I know I had like 50 jobs. I didn't talk about all of them, but there are a lot of highlights there. You know, when you're young and you're poor, you learn to hustle, man.
Yep.
And you know, I definitely hustled, and I'm sure when I get done here, I'm going to think of about
You were-
10 more jobs that I forgot to list.
I mean, you were hustling at a young age with those golf clubs, right?
was.
I mean,
When
gotta
actually
do what you got to do.
Speaking of the golf clubs, when I lived in Alliance, Nebraska, now Alliance is in the Panhandle, and when we moved to Nebraska, I think I told you, my brother and I sat in the bed of a pickup truck from the drive to Des Moines to Alliance, Nebraska in February.
Damn.
So we were under about 12 blankets, as close as we could be. But anyway, we in the back of Mad Magazine. Do you remember Mad Magazine?
Yeah.
They had these ads for all these little trinkets that they would encourage you to go buy these things, and then you can go sell them and make money. So we took my golf club cleaning money and our mowing money, literally like $100, and we sent it into this place. And 2 weeks later, we got this giant box. It's probably this big as a table, full of like Chinese yo-yos and like little gadgets and contraptions and fake magic tricks. And John and I literally went door to door in that entire town trying to sell this shit.
Did you sell them?
We mainly played with most of it because, you know, I don't know if this will surprise you, but nobody wanted to buy this shit.
Yeah, I know.
But it seemed like a great idea. We're like, we're going to make so much money.
You got to sell the sizzle, though, you know?
We had to sell. John could sell the sizzle, but John also had a lack of patience. So I stood there with the box, and he knocked on the door. And if there was any, you know, sign that they weren't going to buy it, then John got a little shitty with them. So that was just the way he was. But anyway, yeah, so that kind of reminded me of that. But so, all right. Well, hey, This has been a long one.
Yeah.
But it's been a good one.
All right.
And, you
We'll
know,
talk more about that.
Yeah, there's one other thing that I wanted to say. Oh, yeah, go fuck yourself.
Yeah. All right. Go fuck yourself.
All
Love
right,
you,
buddy.
buddy.